On Earth, he had been a predator among sheep, a conqueror pretending at patience. Here, the predators were greater. The Imperium of Man claimed to rule humanity, but its methods were built on paranoia and brutality. It crushed dissent with fire. It worshipped an emperor who could not speak. It sent its sons to die in endless wars. Strength without wisdom, power without mercy. Omni-Man lifted the bolt rifle and examined it once more. Perhaps it was not entirely useless, a tool of war, crude, but effective. He could use it, or discard it. It mattered little. He would adapt. He always did. The galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 was a place of endless conflict, where empires rose and fell like tides. The Imperium fought orcs, Xenos, and the forces of chaos entities, born from the darkest impulses of sentient life. Gods of rot and rage, beings that consumed souls, monsters that laughed at mortality. Omni-Man had faced powerful foes before. He had crushed resistance. The Imperium called such machines sacred, but to Omni-Man it was a prison. "You fight because you believe you must," he said. The dreadnought sensors focused on him. "There is no alternative. There is always an alternative." The machine hesitated. A long mechanical pause. "The galaxy is hostile. Mercy is weakness." Omni-Man looked across the battlefield. He had seen hostility. He had seen cruelty. He had seen civilizations that devoured themselves in pursuit of ideals. But he had also seen potential worlds capable of growth, people capable of change. The Imperium of Man was vast, but it was stagnant. It feared the unknown. It crushed dissent. It believed that suffering was necessary for survival. Perhaps it was wrong. The Imperium did not allow its heroes to rest. It bound them to machines, forcing them to fight long after mortality should have claimed them. There was something tragic in that something cruel. The dreadnought advanced, its weapons humming with lethal energy. A multi-melter cannon glowed with molten heat, capable of reducing tanks to slag. It raised its arm, aiming directly at Omni-Man. "You will kneel," the machine commanded. Omni-Man smiled, a small, quiet expression. He had knelt before no one, not on Earth, not in the Viltrumite Empire, not in this galaxy. The dreadnought fired. A beam of white-hot energy roared across the battlefield, vaporizing the ground where Omni-Man had stood. The air screamed as it burned. Yet when the smoke cleared, he remained. It was not even a battle. His fist struck the first cultist, and the man simply ceased to exist, his body reduced to a red smear across the earth. Another lunged, screaming, and Omni-Man caught the blade mid-swing. The metal shattered in his grip. He looked at the broken weapon, then at the cultist. The man stared up at him with wide, worshipful eyes. "You are not a god," the cultist whispered. Omni-Man smiled, a small, cruel thing. "No," he replied, "but I am close enough." The next moment was violence. Bones cracked. Bodies fell. The cultists had believed in their gods, in salvation through suffering, but faith was nothing against strength. Omni-Man left them broken on the ground, their chants silenced. He stood alone once more, the battlefield quiet except for the distant crackle of burning wreckage. Yet he was not alone. Something watched. A presence older than stars, colder than the void between them. It lingered at the edge of perception, a pressure in the air, a feeling of being studied by something vast and hungry. Omni-Man turned his head. Nothing. Only ruins, only death. And yet the sensation remained. This galaxy was different. The weapon collapsed, its teeth snapping like brittle bones. The Marines stared in disbelief. Then he was gone. A single blow. No grand speech. No mercy. The Imperium's finest warriors were strong, but strength alone was not enough. Omni-Man surveyed the battlefield. More Marines would come. The Inquisition would notice. They would send hunters. They would call this world's armies. They would try to kill him. It did not matter. He had survived worse. He had conquered civilizations. He had watched empires crumble beneath his heel. This galaxy was vast, but it was not invincible. He dropped the broken bolt rifle and stepped forward. Somewhere in the distance, a war horn sounded. A call to arms. A declaration of conflict. The Imperium waged war against chaos, Xenos, and even its own citizens. It ruled through fear, believing that terror would preserve order, but order built on suffering was fragile. He rose, leaving the dead behind. Somewhere in the distance, movement stirred. Not cultists this time. Not Marines. Something larger. A distant shape emerged from the smoke, an armored behemoth. Taller than a human, its silhouette framed by flickering flames. A dreadnought, a walking sarcophagus containing the remains of a fallen warrior, its mechanical limbs moving with brutal precision. The machine spoke in a distorted voice, ancient and metallic. Heretic. The word echoed across the battlefield. Judgment. A declaration of extermination. Omni-Man turned, studying the machine. It was a relic of war, a vessel for a soul trapped between life and death. He knelt, inspecting one of the fallen helmets. The face within was young, barely more than a boy, eyes frozen in the expression of final terror. The Imperium called itself humanity's savior, but its sons died just as easily as any mortal. Omni-Man straightened, gripping a broken bolt rifle from the ground. Heavy, brutal, designed to obliterate flesh and bone. He turned it in his hands, unimpressed. Weapons like this were toys compared to the armaments of his own people. The Viltrum Empire had conquered worlds with strength, not superstition. He had expected this galaxy to bow. Instead, it fought itself. A distant howl echoed across the battlefield, not the cry of an animal, but something worse, something aware. Cultists emerged from the shadows, their bodies twisted by devotion to dark gods. Their eyes glowed with unnatural light. They chanted in voices that scraped against the air, words of blasphemy and submission. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. They rushed him, blades raised, faces stretched into expressions of religious ecstasy. Omni-Man moved. Strength alone was meaningless, without purpose. The Imperium sought to preserve humanity, but at what cost? It crushed individuality, it feared progress. It worshipped an emperor who could not guide it. Perhaps this galaxy needed something new, not tyranny, not chaos, something different. A force capable of challenging old ideas. Omni-Man turned and walked away. The war would continue. It always did, but so would he. He was a being of strength, yet strength could shape the world. It could destroy, it could build, it could inspire. The galaxy of Warhammer. 40,000 would learn that lesson. Eventually, Omni-Man continued through the wasteland, leaving the broken dreadnought behind. The Imperium would recover the remains salvaged, the sacred machine. It worshipped an emperor who ruled from a golden throne, an immortal corpse, bound to machinery, sustained by the sacrifices of thousands of psychers each day. A civilization propped up by death. Omni-Man rose. The galaxy's cruelty was undeniable, but so was its resilience. The Imperium endured. The Chaos Gods raged. The Xenos fought for territory. Humanity clung to existence, even as the universe sought to extinguish it. There was something admirable in that stubbornness, something tragic. He continued walking. Hours passed. The sky shifted from ash gray to blood red, then to the deep void of night. Stars flickered above distant suns, indifferent to the wars below. Not in triumph, in acknowledgement. The warrior had fought for something he believed in. That alone was worth respect. The battlefield was quiet once more. Smoke drifted across the ruins. Distant artillery still thundered, but the immediate violence had ended. Omni-Man looked toward the horizon. This galaxy was vast, infinite in its conflicts. The Imperium, Chaos, Xenosol fought for dominance, yet none seemed capable of breaking the cycle of war. The Warhammer 40,000 universe was built on suffering, on the idea that survival required endless brutality. But was that truly the only path? Omni-Man did not know. He was a conqueror, not a philosopher. Yet he understood one truth, their eyes unseen behind visors. Heretic, one of them declared. The word carried weight, judgment, a declaration of war. Omni-Man raised the bolt rifle in response. It felt strange in his hands, but he understood its purpose. A weapon, a statement. The Marines did not hesitate. Bolter fire erupted. Explosive shells screamed through the air. Omni-Man moved, dodging the first volley with ease. The shells struck the ground where he had stood, detonating in bursts of shrapnel. He charged, faster than they expected. A Marine swung a chainsword, its teeth roaring with mechanical fury. Omni-Man caught the blade. The metal screeched against his palm. It should have cut him. It should have drawn blood. Instead, it stopped. The Marine's eyes widened. Impossible. Omni-Man crushed the chainsword in his grip. Omni-Man stepped out of the rift and into a world that should not exist, the realm of iron and faith, of endless war where stars themselves seemed to bleed. This was not Earth. It was something older, harsher, a galaxy carved by centuries of genocide and fanatic devotion. The air reeked of ozone and burnt copper. In the distance, great Gothic spires pierced the sky, their surfaces engraved with symbols of worship and condemnation. He had expected resistance, some petty army, perhaps a civilization clinging to false ideas of strength, but the ruins beneath his boots told a different story. Armored corpses lay scattered across the battlefield, their power armor cracked and scorched. These were soldiers of the Imperium, warriors bred for war, and yet they had fallen. The Imperium of Man believed in order through dominance. The Chaos Gods whispered promises of power and ruin. Entire species fought for survival in the endless dark. And now, a being of unimaginable strength had arrived. Omni-Man did not seek worship, he did not seek alliances. He sought understanding. This galaxy would test him, it would challenge him, it would try to break him, but he was Viltrumite. He was a conqueror. And in the grim darkness of the far future, there was only war. Warhammer 40,000 would learn what that meant. Omni-Man moved through the ruins, a silent silhouette against the burning horizon. The battlefield had quieted, but war never truly ended in this galaxy. Smoke curled from shattered bunkers, and distant artillery thundered like the heartbeat of an angry god. He walked past the broken remnants of the Space Marines he had slain, symbols of a greater empire reduced to corpses. The Imperium punished heresy harshly. It feared rebellion. It believed that terror maintained order. Omni-Man studied the ruins. A child's toy lay in the dirt, a small wooden figure, painted long ago. The paint had faded. The wood was cracked. Someone had held it once, someone had loved it. Now it was forgotten. He picked it up, light, venerated sacrifice, and sent more warriors. War was their language. He understood it. He had spoken it for centuries. But this galaxy was different. Here, war was not a tool of expansion. It was a state of being. The Warhammer 40,000 universe existed in perpetual conflict, empires clashing, gods scheming, an entire species erased in the name of survival. There were no true victors, only survivors. Omni-Man paused at the edge of a crater. The ground was scorched and cracked, a scar left by orbital bombardment. Imperial ships had struck the planet before his arrival, cleansing regions of heresy with fire from the heavens. He knelt, touching the blackened earth. It crumbled beneath his fingers, ash bones, the remnants of lives reduced to nothing. The Imperium believed in order, yet its order was built on destruction. It feared chaos, but created suffering. Or perhaps it was simply desperate. The dreadnought moved again, attempting one final strike. Omni-Man intercepted it. His hands found the machine's armored frame. He pushed. The metal groaned. The ground beneath them cracked. With a sudden brutal motion, he tore the dreadnought apart. Plates of armor scattered across the battlefield. Sparks rained like dying stars. The machine collapsed, its mechanical limbs still twitching. Inside, the sarcophagus that housed the fallen warrior remained intact. Omni-Man approached it. The face within was barely visibly scarred, eyes closed. Eyes closed. A hero of the Imperium, a soldier who had fought until death no longer granted release. He touched the sarcophagus, not in malice. He had watched civilizations kneel, but this galaxy was built on suffering. It was not a place of simple conquest. It was a place of survival. The distant sound of marching boots reached his ears. Heavy, rhythmic, mechanical. Space Marines, the Imperium's elite soldiers, genetically enhanced warriors clad in power armor, each one a walking fortress of faith and firepower. Omni-Man had heard of them in the whispers of the galaxy, stories of unstoppable soldiers, of battles that lasted centuries, of heroes forged in war. He turned toward the sound. A squad of Marines emerged from the smoke. Their armor was gothic and ornate, engraved with symbols of the Emperor. Their bolters were raised. On Earth, he had once believed in conquest. The Viltrum Empire taught that strength justified rule, that weaker civilizations should be absorbed or eradicated. It was a philosophy of efficiency, of dominance. Yet here, in this galaxy of endless suffering, that philosophy felt insufficient. Conquest solved nothing if the conquered remained broken. Power without purpose was hollow. He stopped near a ruined settlement. Buildings lay in rubble, walls riddled with bullet holes. Signs of execution, families lined against a wall, lives ended by decree. The Imperium of Man believed in duty and sacrifice, yet its soldiers died just the same. Their armor bore sigils of the Emperor, a being worshipped as divine, though Omni-Man saw nothing divine in this world, only survival, only power. He knelt beside one of the fallen Marines, examining the intricate craftsmanship of the power armor. It was stronger than human steel, reinforced with alloys designed to withstand unimaginable punishment. Yet it had still broken. The Marine's helmet lay nearby, visor cracked. Inside, the face was older than he had expected, weathered, scarred, eyes closed, in final repose. A life spent in war ended in seconds. Omni-Man touched the armor, feeling its weight. This galaxy revered strength, but its strength was divided, fighting itself, consumed by ideological conflicts and ancient grudges. Unscathed, unmoved, the machine hesitated, if such a thing could hesitate. Its mechanical senses recalibrated, searching for an explanation. Impossible. Nothing should survive that. Omni-Man stepped forward. The ground cracked beneath his boots. He moved like a storm, faster than the machine could react. The dreadnought swung its massive arm, a crushing blow capable of shattering fortifications. He caught it. Metal groaned in protest. Hydraulic systems screeched. The machine struggled, but it was like a child trying to move a mountain. Omni-Man squeezed. The dreadnought's arm collapsed, its joints buckling, sparks erupted from shattered circuits. The machine roared a sound of mechanical fury and ancient pain. It tried to strike again, he dodged. His fist connected with the dreadnought's chassis. The impact was catastrophic. Armor plating ruptured, internal mechanisms shattered. The machine staggered, its sensors flickering. For a moment, there was silence. Then the dreadnought spoke, not with hatred, not with judgment, with something closer to resignation. "I have served the Emperor for centuries," it said. Its voice trembled. A ghost inside a machine. "I have fought wars. I have died. I have returned. And still the galaxy remains broken." Omni-Man studied the machine. It was a warrior, once a hero perhaps. Now it was trapped, bound to a purpose that denied it rest. Fragile, a relic of a life that no longer existed. The galaxy consumed everything. It turned dreams to dust. He turned the toy in his hand, considering it on Earth. Humanity had built cities, art, and knowledge. It had struggled, fought, and grown. Here those achievements were rare. The Imperium's cities were Gothic fortresses, monuments to survival rather than progress. Technology existed, but innovation was feared. Knowledge was restricted. Ideas that challenged authority were labeled heresy. Omni-Man frowned. A civilization that feared thought could not evolve. It would stagnate, collapse. The toy slipped from his hand and fell to the ground. He left it behind. The night deepened. Somewhere in the distance, a horn sounded, a deep, mournful call. Not imperial, not human, Xenos, alien. The galaxy was home to countless species, each fighting for its place. Some were peaceful, others were monstrous. All were competitors. Omni-Man followed the sound. It led him to a clearing, a gathering of figure-stall, slender beings with pale skin and elongated features. Their armor was elegant, adorned with intricate designs. Their movements were precise, almost ritualistic. Eldar, a species older than humanity, once rulers of a vast empire, now reduced to scattered enclaves surviving through cunning and secrecy. They spoke in a language he did not understand. Their voices were melodic, layered with meaning. One of them noticed him. The group tensed. Weapons were drawn, graceful blades, energy-based implements capable of cutting through armor. They regarded him with caution, curiosity, fear. Omni-Man remained still. He had no desire to fight, yet the Eldar were wary. Their species had suffered at the hands of the Imperium, the Orcs, and Chaos. They trusted few outsiders. The leader stepped forward, a tall figure with silver hair and piercing eyes. He spoke in broken Imperial dialect. "You are not of this world." Omni-Man studied him. "No." The Eldar exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. The leader continued. "You are powerful, dangerous." Omni-Man nodded. "I have been called both." Silence. The Eldar considered him. They were survivors, masters of foresight and deception. They saw the galaxy's patterns, predicting events through arcane knowledge. Perhaps they saw something in him, or perhaps they sought advantage. The leader gestured toward the ruins. "This world suffers." Like many, Omni-Man followed his gaze. The Imperium's presence was undeniable, scars of war, symbols of authority, remnants of a civilization that valued obedience over growth. "It does," he agreed. The Eldar leader studied him. "And you?" Omni-Man hesitated. A rare moment, he searched for an answer. "I do not yet know." The Eldar were silent. Then, slowly, they lowered their weapons. Not in trust, not in surrender, in acknowledgement. The galaxy was full of enemies, but also potential allies. The Eldar had once ruled stars. They understood loss. They understood survival. Perhaps they understood something more. The leader spoke again. "The Imperium will hunt you." Omni-Man met his gaze. "Let them." The Eldar nodded, a gesture of respect. Not friendship, not alliance, recognition. He was a force in this galaxy, a variable. The Imperium would seek to destroy him. Chaos might attempt to corrupt him. Other species would judge him. It did not matter. He had faced empires before. He had conquered worlds. He had seen civilizations rise and fall. The galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 was vast, brutal, unforgiving, but it was not beyond understanding. Strength ruled here, yet strength alone was insufficient. Purpose mattered. Choice mattered. Choice mattered. Omni-Man turned away from the Eldar and continued walking. The war would rage on. The Imperium would send hunters. Chaos would whisper lies. The galaxy would test him. He would adapt. He always did. But something had changed. He had seen the consequences of endless conflict, the ruins, the suffering, the cost of survival. Power could destroy. It could also protect, shape, inspire. The Viltrum Empire had taught him to conquer. This galaxy might teach him something else. not redemption, not submission, understanding. The Warhammer 40,000 universe was grim and dark, but it was not without meaning. Even in the void, life persisted. Even in war, choices remained. Omni-Man walked into the night. The stars watched. The galaxy waited. Omni-Man left the Eldar behind, their watchful gazes fading into the darkness. They had not attacked. They had not offered alliance. They had simply observed, assessing him the way predators assessed potential threats. The galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 was built on judgment, on the constant weighing of strength and weakness. The Imperium condemned, chaos tempted, Xenos schemed. Survival was conditional, acceptance fragile. He walked onward. The ground beneath his boots was uneven, scarred by centuries of conflict. This world had seen battles long before his arrival and would see battles long after. Empires rose and collapsed like tides, yet the war remained. A cycle, endless. On Earth, he had once believed that conquest was the highest expression of strength. The Viltrumite Empire taught its warriors to dominate, to absorb lesser civilizations, to bring order through superiority. It was a philosophy of efficiency, of certainty, but here, in this universe of contradictions, certainty dissolved. The Imperium claimed to defend humanity, yet it devoured its own. It executed the innocent for suspicion. It burned knowledge to preserve control. It worshipped an emperor who could not speak, a god of silence, a symbol of stagnation. Omni-Man stopped at a ridge and looked across the landscape. The horizon stretched far, broken by Gothic structures, fortresses of stone and iron, towering monuments to faith and war. Imperial banners hung from their walls, tattered but defiant. The symbols of authority remained, even in decay. The Imperium endured. It always endured. That was its strength, and its weakness. A civilization that clung to tradition without questioning its purpose risked becoming a monument to itself. It would survive, but never evolve, never grow. He considered the Eldar. Their species had once ruled stars, wielding technology and psychic mastery beyond human comprehension. They had fallen not because they lacked power, but because they misused it. Hubris, excess. The galaxy punished arrogance. Omni-Man understood arrogance. He had embodied it. On Earth, he had believed himself superior, a shepherd guiding humanity toward a future of strength. But his methods had caused pain, betrayal, loss. He had seen the consequences of his actions. The faces of those he had hurt remained in his memory. His son, the people he had once called enemies, the civilizations he had conquered. Strength without purpose was violence. Power without wisdom was tyranny. He exhaled slowly. The air here was different, thicker, tinged with ash. The galaxy itself seemed to breathe with war. In the distance, movement, figures emerging from the shadows, tall, armored shapes moving with disciplined precision. Space Marines, the Imperium's finest soldiers, genetically enhanced warriors, each one a fortress of flesh and will. They advanced in formation, bolters raised, visors glowing faintly in the dim light. Omni-Man recognized them. He had fought their kind before, not here, but in spirit. Warriors bound to duty, shaped by ideology, willing to die for their beliefs. They were dangerous, not because they could kill him. Few things in this galaxy could, but because they represented something larger. The Imperium's resolve, its refusal to yield. The Marines halted at a distance. Their leader stepped forward, a towering figure in ornate power armor, sigils of rank etched into the metal. His voice was distorted by the helmet's Vox system, but the words were clear. Xenos, sympathizer, judgment, a label. The Imperium categorized threats, heretics, aliens, traitors. Those who did not conform were eradicated. Omni-Man remained still. He studied the Marines. They were strong, disciplined, trained for war. But they were also bound to orders, to faith, to a system that demanded obedience. He had lived under similar constraints. The Viltrumite Empire had shaped its soldiers into instruments of conquest. Loyalty was absolute, dissent punished. Yet here the Imperium's loyalty was to an ideal, a vision of humanity's survival, a vision achieved through suffering. The Marine leader raised his weapon, a bolt rifle, its ammunition designed to detonate on impact, brutal, effective. The Imperium favored weapons that left no doubt, no mercy. Omni-Man regarded the gun. It was a tool of war, nothing more. The Marine spoke again. Surrender. The word carried weight, not an invitation, a command. Omni-Man tilted his head slightly. And if I refuse, the Marine's stance tightened. You will be destroyed. There was no malice in the statement. No hatred, only certainty. The Imperium believed in its right to judge, to punish, to protect humanity from threats. Omni-Man considered this. He had been a threat. He still was, in their eyes. A being of immense strength, unfamiliar origin, and unpredictable intent. The galaxy feared the unknown. Fear bred conflict. Conflict justified action. The Marines advanced. Slowly, methodically, their discipline was impressive. They moved as one, maintaining formation, ready to respond to any sign of aggression. Omni-Man remained still. He could fight them. It would be easy, faster than their reflexes, stronger than their armor, capable of ending the encounter in seconds. But that would change nothing. The Imperium would send more soldiers, more machines, more judgment. Violence solved immediate problems, but rarely addressed underlying causes. The Marines stopped within striking distance. The leader raised his weapon. A final warning. Last chance. Omni-Man met his gaze. Through the visor he could see the Marine's eyes, human eyes, hardened by duty. A soldier, a believer, someone who thought he was doing the right thing. The galaxy was full of such people. Good intentions, terrible consequences. Omni-Man spoke, quietly. I do not seek war. The Marine hesitated. A fraction of a second, enough to notice the uncertainty. The Imperium trained its soldiers to be unyielding. Doubt was weakness, yet it existed. The leader lowered his weapon slightly. Not fully, not in trust, but in consideration. You killed Imperial forces. Omni-Man nodded. They attacked me. The Marine's grip tightened. You are not human. A statement. A fact. The Imperium defined belonging through origin and loyalty. Humanity was more than biology, was ideology. Omni-Man understood the distinction. He had once been human in form but different in nature. Now he was something else, something in between. The leader studied him, then, after a long pause, he lowered his weapon further. Not completely, but enough to signal restraint. Explain yourself. It was not absolution, not acceptance, a request for understanding. Omni-Man considered the question. How did one explain existence in a galaxy like this? A place where gods whispered in the dark and empires collapsed under their own weight. He chose his words carefully. I am not your enemy. The Marine remained silent. The other soldiers watched, weapons still ready. The tension lingered. The galaxy rewarded caution. The Imperium had survived for millennia by identifying threats and eliminating them. It did not tolerate ambiguity. Omni-Man was ambiguity incarnate. A foreign power, a wild variable. The leader spoke again. You will be taken for assessment. A compromise, not execution, not freedom. Investigation. The Imperium sought knowledge, understanding, control. Omni-Man regarded the Marines. He could resist, he could escape, but doing so would confirm their suspicions. Make him a target. He exhaled slowly. Very well. The Marines exchanged glances. Surprise, relief. War had conditioned them to expect hostility. Compliance was rare. The leader gestured. Follow. Omni-Man nodded. He would go with them, not as a prisoner, not as an ally, as an opportunity. The Imperium would judge him, study him, decide what he represented. Perhaps they would see a threat, perhaps something else. The galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 was built on absolute good and evil, order and chaos. But Omni-Man understood nuance. Strength could serve different purposes. It could destroy, it could protect, it could challenge ideas. The Imperium believed in survival through rigidity. He believed in adaptability, growth. The path ahead was uncertain, dangerous. The Marines turned and began marching. Omni-Man followed, not in submission, not in defiance. In movement, the galaxy would decide what he was. A weapon, a savior, a threat, perhaps none of those things, perhaps something new. The war continued. It always would, but so did change. The Space Marines led Omni-Man through the Imperial fortress. The halls were immense Gothic corridors lined with statues of armored warriors and carved scripture. Candles flickered in alcoves, their flames casting long shadows. The architecture spoke of faith and war, of a civilization that built monuments to suffering and duty. Every surface bore symbols of the Emperor's sigils of authority, reminders of obedience. The Marines remained silent. They were disciplined soldiers, conditioned to follow orders. Omni-Man observed them. Their armor was impressive, layered with technology and spiritual significance. The Imperium treated its equipment as sacred, believing that machines carried the blessings of their god. He understood the value of belief. On Earth, people had faith in ideas: justice, progress, freedom. Those concepts shaped civilizations. Here, faith was different. It demanded submission. The Emperor of mankind was revered as divine, yet he existed in a state of undeath, sustained by machinery and the sacrifices of psychers. A god who could not speak, a ruler who could not guide. The Imperium believed this was necessary. Survival at any cost. Omni-Man considered the philosophy. Survival was important. He had fought for it. He had conquered for it. But survival without growth became stagnation. A civilization that refused to question its methods risked repeating its mistakes forever. The Marines stopped before a large set of doors. Carved into the metal were more symbols, warnings, prayers, declarations of loyalty. The leader turned to Omni-Man. "You will be assessed." His voice was neutral, professional. The Imperium valued order. Assessments determined worth. Threats were categorized, contained, eliminated. Omni-Man nodded. He had expected this. The galaxy reacted to unknowns with caution, sometimes with violence. He would answer their questions, not because he sought approval, but because understanding mattered. The doors opened. The chamber beyond was vast, a high-ceilinged hall with glowing runes etched into the walls. Mechanized devices hummed softly, their functions unclear. At the center stood a figure, a member of the Inquisition, the Imperium's investigators, judges of heresy, seekers of truth. The Inquisitor wore ornate robes and carried symbols of authority. His eyes studied Omni-Man with calculated interest. Not fear, not hostility, evaluation. "You are the alien who killed Imperial soldiers," the Inquisitor said. A statement. Omni-Man responded. "They attacked me." The Inquisitor tilted his head slightly. "Self-defense, yes." Silence. The hall seemed to wait. The Marines remained at attention. The Inquisitor approached, circling Omni-Man like a scientist examining a specimen. His gaze lingered on the Viltrumite's physique, strength beyond human capability, an absence of visible armor, an aura of power. The Imperium valued strength. It also feared the unknown. "You claim no allegiance to Xenos," the Inquisitor continued. Omni-Man met his gaze. "I have no allegiance here." The word Xenos carried weight. In the Imperium, it referred to alien life species deemed incompatible with humanity's survival. Many were destroyed, others enslaved or exploited. The galaxy was harsh, judgment absolute. The Inquisitor considered this. "You are powerful, a fact." Omni-Man said nothing. The Inquisitor continued. "Power attracts attention." He gestured toward the Marines. They saw a threat. Omni-Man understood. The Imperium interpreted strength through a lens of risk. A being capable of violence could become an enemy. The Marines had acted accordingly. The Inquisitor stopped in front of him. His expression remained neutral. "What are you?" It was the question beneath all others. "Identity, purpose, allegiance," Omni-Man answered. Carefully, "I am a traveler." The Inquisitor frowned slightly. "From where?" "Another world." A pause. The hall's mechanisms hummed. The Marines remained still. The Inquisitor studied him. "Explain." Omni-Man considered the request. How did one explain interstellar existence to a civilization accustomed to war and isolation? The Imperium knew of aliens, it fought them, but it understood little about peaceful coexistence or shared knowledge. He spoke. "I arrived through an anomaly." The Inquisitor's eyes narrowed. An anomaly, a rift. The term held meaning in this galaxy. Space itself could be distorted warp phenomena, dimensional disturbances, phenomena linked to chaos. The Inquisitor reacted. Subtle. A shift in posture, wariness. The warp was dangerous. A realm of psychic energy and malevolent entities. Many Imperial worlds had suffered from warp incursions, nightmares made real, corruption, destruction. Omni-Man recognized the concern. "It was not the warp," he clarified. The Inquisitor studied him. "How can you be certain?" Omni-Man met his gaze. "I know what I am." The statement carried confidence, not arrogance, knowledge. The Inquisitor considered this. The Imperium valued certainty. Uncertainty bred vulnerability, yet here was something outside their understanding. A being of immense strength, claiming origins beyond known space. The Marines watched. The hall remained silent. Finally, the Inquisitor spoke. "The Imperium will determine the truth. Assessment, investigation, judgment." Omni-Man nodded. He had expected this. The galaxy demanded proof, evidence, understanding. The Imperium would analyze him biologically, technologically, philosophically. They would decide whether he was threat or opportunity. He did not object. Knowledge could be shared. Understanding could bridge gaps. The Inquisitor gestured to a side chamber. "You will be contained during evaluation. A precaution, not imprisonment. Control." Omni-Man regarded the suggestion. He could resist, escape, but doing so would reinforce their fears. The Imperium reacted to resistance with force. He chose a different path. "Very well." The Inquisitor raised an eyebrow. Surprise. The Imperium expected defiance from unknown entities. Compliance was rare. He studied Omni-Man for a moment longer, then nodded. "Follow." The Marines escorted him to the chamber. It was Spartan walls of reinforced metal, minimal furnishings, security mechanisms embedded in the structure. A place of observation, not punishment. Omni-Man entered, the door sealed behind him. The sound was final. The Imperium had taken custody of him. Now they would decide what he represented. Threat, ally, anomaly. The galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 valued order. It feared chaos, yet change was inevitable. Ideas spread. Civilizations evolved. The Imperium had survived for millennia, but survival alone was not progress. Omni-Man sat down. He would wait. The assessment would come. Questions, tests, judgments. He had faced scrutiny before. On Earth, his actions had been questioned, his motives misunderstood. He had learned that strength required wisdom, purpose. The galaxy here was larger, more complex, full of ancient conflicts and ideological divides. The Imperium believed in absolute truths. He understood nuance. Perhaps that difference mattered, perhaps not. Time would tell. Outside the chamber, the Inquisition began its evaluation. Data was collected, reports written, speculation debated. The Imperium sought to categorize him, to fit him within existing frameworks. But he was something new, a variable. The galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 was defined by war, yet war was not the only constant. Knowledge existed, growth existed, possibility existed. Omni-Man waited. The future remained unwritten. The interrogation chamber remained silent except for the faint hum of machinery. Omni-Man sat still, observing the devices arrayed around him. Data readouts flickered across holographic displays, biometric scans, strength estimates, biological readings. The Imperium was cataloging him, reducing his existence to numbers and classifications. That was their method. Control through understanding, understanding through analysis. The Inquisitor watched from a distance. His expression revealed little. The Imperium trained its agents to suppress emotion, to prioritize judgment over sentiment. Yet Omni-Man sensed curiosity. Caution, the unknown, unsettled them. On Earth, humanity had reacted similarly to the unfamiliar, sometimes with hostility, sometimes with wonder. Here the reaction leaned toward control. The galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 tabletop wargammer was built on rigid structures. The Imperium defined order through hierarchy and obedience. Deviations were punished. Questions were dangerous. Omni-Man understood the logic. A civilization surrounded by threats might view dissent as vulnerability, but absolute rigidity carried its own risks. Growth required adaptation. The Inquisitor stepped forward. Your physiology is unlike anything in Imperial records. A statement of fact. Omni-Man said nothing. The Inquisitor continued. Strength beyond human capability. Durability exceeding known parameters. He studied the data projections. You are not a psyker. The term referred to individuals capable of manipulating psychic energy power drawn from the warp. Such abilities were feared and regulated. Psykers could be useful. They could also become gateways for corruption. The Imperium treated them with caution. Omni-Man understood the distinction. Power could be dangerous if misused. That was true in any galaxy. The Inquisitor turned his gaze back to him. Explain your origins, a request, not an accusation. Omni-Man considered the question. How did one explain interstellar travel to a civilization shaped by millennia of conflict? The Imperium's understanding of the cosmos was vast in some respects, limited in others. They knew of alien species, of psychic phenomena, of ancient technologies, but the idea of dimensional rifts unrelated to the warp might challenge their frameworks. He answered simply, I came from another world. The Inquisitor frowned slightly. Another planet, another universe. Silence. The hall's machinery hummed. The data devices continued their analysis. The Inquisitor studied him, not with disbelief, but with calculation. The Imperium valued evidence. Claims required verification. Omni-Man's statement demanded scrutiny. You expect me to accept such an explanation, the Inquisitor said. Omni-Man met his gaze. I expect you to investigate. The Inquisitor considered this. The Imperium prized knowledge, yet guarded it fiercely. Information that threatened stability could be suppressed, but outright dismissal of possibilities hindered understanding. He gestured toward the holographic displays. Your biology defies classification. Omni-Man remained still. I am different. The Inquisitor narrowed his eyes. Different is not an explanation. True. It was a description, not a cause. Omni-Man understood the need for detail. He continued. My species evolved for strength. The Inquisitor tilted his head. Evolved, yes. The term held meaning in scientific discourse. Adaptation over time. The development of traits suited for survival. The Imperium recognized such concepts, though its history was shaped more by war than by biological study. The Inquisitor studied the data again. Your durability suggests materials within your body that do not exist in human physiology. Omni-Man nodded. My species is stronger. a simplification. The Inquisitor did not dismiss it. Instead, he analyzed the implications. If Omni-Man's claims were true, he represented a form of life beyond Imperial knowledge. That alone warranted investigation. The galaxy contained countless species, some advanced, others primitive, many hostile. The Imperium categorized them based on threat level and utility. Omni-Man did not fit existing categories. The Inquisitor approached the data displays. Lines of information scrolled across the hologram's measurements, projections, hypotheses. He spoke without turning. If you are from another universe, how did you arrive? Omni-Man hesitated. The question required explanation, not detail, but concept. A rift. The Inquisitor glanced back. A warp phenomenon. No, the distinction mattered. The warp was a realm of psychic energy, a source of both power and danger. It connected worlds in unpredictable ways. Many horrors originated from it. Omni-Man's arrival had not involved the warp. He understood that much. The rift was different, an anomaly beyond Imperial knowledge. The Inquisitor considered this. You claim it was not of the warp. I do silence. The Imperium valued certainty. Unverified claims were treated with skepticism. Omni-Man's statement challenged established understanding. That required evidence. The Inquisitor gestured to the Marines outside the chamber. They remained at attention, disciplined and vigilant, soldiers of the Imperium, shaped by duty. You killed Imperial forces, he said, a fact. Omni-Man acknowledged it. They attacked me. The Inquisitor studied him. Self-defense, yes. The Imperium recognized self-defense in principle, though its application varied. In times of war, assumptions often favored security over individual circumstances. Omni-Man understood the reasoning. A civilization under constant threat might prioritize survival over nuance. The Inquisitor turned fully to face him. You claim no allegiance to Xenos, another term. Xenos referred to alien species. Many were enemies, some were exploited, few were trusted. Omni-Man responded, I have no allegiance here. True, he did not belong to this galaxy's conflicts. He sought understanding. The Inquisitor regarded him for a long moment, then spoke. The Imperium will determine the truth. Assessment, judgment. The Imperium's methods were thorough. They would analyze his biology, his capabilities, his origins. They would debate his intentions, decide whether he represented opportunity or threat. Omni-Man accepted this. Knowledge required investigation. Understanding required effort. The Inquisitor gestured toward the chamber door. Remain here during evaluation. A precaution, not punishment, control. Omni-Man nodded. Very well. The Inquisitor studied him once more. His expression remained measured, professional, yet something lingered beneath it, curiosity perhaps. The unknown challenged assumptions. The Imperium valued order, but order depended on understanding. He turned and departed. The door sealed behind him. Omni-Man remained alone. The chamber was quiet. The machinery continued its work, gathering data, processing information. The Imperium would analyze the results, debate conclusions, reach judgments. He considered the situation. The galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 tabletop wargame was vast and dangerous. The Imperium fought endless wars against Xenos, chaos, and internal dissent. It valued strength and obedience, yet it also sought knowledge, understanding, survival. Omni-Man's presence challenged their frameworks, a being of immense power from an unknown origin, a variable in a universe defined by conflict that could provoke fear or opportunity. He sat in silence. The evaluation would continue. Questions would come, tests, observations. The Imperium would decide how to proceed. He had faced scrutiny before. On Earth, his actions had been questioned, his motives misunderstood. He had learned that strength alone was insufficient, purpose mattered. The galaxy here was different, larger, older, shaped by ideologies and wars spanning millennia, but certain truths remained. Knowledge could bridge divides. Understanding could reduce conflict. Change was inevitable. Omni-Man waited. The Imperium would decide its course, and he would decide his.